Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I am coming to you semi-live from the Gaming Dojo, and I'm here to talk to you about this game. It is called Maha Yodha. I did a Kickstarter review or preview of this game quite a while ago, and it then got published, which is really cool. And the designers were cool enough to send me this game, and I was really excited to see the look of it, mostly because the artwork and the mythology, the kind of Hindu mythology that the game is steeped in. I was really excited to see what the final look and the final design and how the game was going to be. And I knew it was going to look really awesome, but I didn't know it was going to look this awesome. I mean, even the box itself, just, you know, kind of really nice and good, nice finish, and like it's just black with the gold lettering, and it really pops as far as being on my game shelf. Now, I've played lots of games that look really, really nice, and the gameplay and the mechanisms and the fun of the game didn't even come close to matching the components and what the game looked like. But I'm happy to say that this game has... I enjoyed the heck out of it when I had the prototype, and now that I have the finished version, I'm enjoying the heck out of this one. So let me show you how the game is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you a little bit more about why I dig Maha Yodha. Alright, cool. And I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is Maha Yodha. I've gone ahead and set up the game. It is a 2-card battle card game, as I said. There are the 2 decks of cards each person has. As you can see there, the different colors. It's kind of easy. That's actually kind of nice because there are situations where you can actually claim the other person's cards sometimes. And I dig that it's very easy to separate them and hand the cards back for the next time that you play. So, I've gone ahead and taken a few cards out of this deck just so I can show you the different types of cards that you get in this game. This is the full deck of cards there, and that's the deck I'm going to be using just to kind of show you how the game is played. Each person gets one of these little trackers that'll keep track of what your attack and defense value is, and also a little turn phase or phases of a turn card as well. You start with 20 health. There is tokens to represent that 20 health, and these little icons over there are your the valor tokens that you use to spend to get get your cards out onto the playing field. All right, so I'm just going to show you a few sample cards so you can just kind of see the different types of cards that are available. Now, this is probably the most important type of card you can get. This is what's called a warrior card. Little picture, the name of it, Arjuna. It is a warrior. A little special power, Bird's Eye. When Arjuna is deployed to the battlefield, you deal 1 life damage to your opponent. You start with 20 life. If you lose all 20 life, you lose the game. Pretty simple, right? Alright, and here's the Valor cost to put that unit out. It costs 3 Valor to place that out. Alright, so going on next is weapon cards. Any weapon can be wielded by any hero. However, if you can get a weapon that matches up with a hero, that gives you some special power. So here's Gandiva. It is a bow. Remember, Arjuna had a bow. This is Arjuna's weapon. If you combo this with Arjuna, you get to +1 Valor, or +1 attack, or +1 defense. You get to pick that. And so when you decide what you're going to pick when you deploy it, you actually, if it's +1 attack or defense, you'll adjust that on this track. That's how you keep track of which one you picked. Obviously, if you pick Valor, you do that so you can add more cards to your tableau. These are scrolls. Scrolls are one-shot magic items. Pretty straightforward. Like here's one that says it costs 2 Valor to use, but when you do, you discard all your cards from the battlefield and your hand. You draw 9 new cards to your hand from the deck. Normally, you only draw 7 cards. So that's a way to just kind of give me a redo. Give me some brand new cards. A mirror image allows you to attack using your opponent's total attack. So if your opponent had a really good total attack value, when they set it up, you can attack straight back with what they have. Kind of it's kind of bad news, obviously, if they did really well, and that's like obviously 3 Valor to do that one. And finally, something pretty straightforward. For 2 Valor, you can draw 3 cards from your deck and put them in your hand. Just a little extra power there. This is a unit. Units are allowed to defend. They have a 1 defense ranking here, and you notice once again, if you combine it, here's Arjuna again, if you can combine that with the other, first of all, it doesn't cost any Valor to put out there, but you can add a Valor, defense, or an attack with that unit. Alright, now here is a different type of scroll. This is a Mahavita scroll, and you can see here, you can combine it with another thing, and I'll show you that in just a second. Or you can just play it and gain 1 life. You can use it to heal a life. Now, you notice how it says, combine with, and I probably can't say this correctly, but Narayana Jawara. And if you combine the Bhuvaneshwar with this Narayana Jawara, this is what's called a WMD, or Weapon of Mass Destruction card. These are massively powered cards. And so you have to have these 2 cards in your hand to do it, though. It costs 2 Valor to do it, but if you do this, it reduces your opponent's total defense to 0, which is good. That means you just get a free attack, pretty much. And you can discard all of your opponent's artifacts that they may have in the battlefield. Now you'll be saying, what's an artifact? Well, that's the last card I'm going to show you. And here is an artifact. So this is the Vaikunta, and this one gives you +1 extra Valor each turn. You only have to spend this 3 to put it out there, and it's done. And then it just sits out there for the rest of the game unless your opponent finds some way to take it off and make you discard it. So that's how that works. So now what you're going to do on your turn is, and if it's the first turn of the game, you figure out who goes first, and that's whatever that is. And then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to draw 7 cards. Now normally, if this was in the first turn of the game, you'd have cards in your hand probably, and you have to pick up the cards that you have placed on and discard some of them as well. But in this case, just for the sake of argument, we're just going to draw 7 cards. And if this is the first turn of the game, you draw 7, and if you don't get a warrior in the 7 cards that you draw, you have the option of revealing your hand to your opponent and showing that you don't have a warrior, and then drawing 6. But then after you draw that 6, you're kind of done. So let's see what we got here. Okay, well, we got some warriors, so I don't have to worry about that. But we got some scrolls. We'll look at those here in just a second. But let's see what we got for warriors. So Narakasura, he looks pretty tough. He's got a 4 attack and 0 defense, and it costs 3 Valor to put out there. Let's see, Hounds of Hell. When this card is deployed, search your draw deck for the Wolf unit card and take it to your hand. You can use this ability only once, and then you shuffle the deck afterwards. That's pretty nice. And then, there's a pretty good weapon, Parashu, and it looks like 2 more, and for only 1 now. And well, here's the wolf. So I don't even have to worry about that. I actually got the wolf for him, so that's kind of neat. And Raktabija, Warrior, Resurrection. If you have to discard this card due to your opponent's action, move him to your hand instead. You can use this ability only once. So is that guy's weapon? Parashu. Yeah, it was. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. So on my turn, what I could do is I could take these 2 cards, and I could say, okay, well, so for 2 Valor, I'm going to play him. And so you place that there, and you're going to place 2 of your Valor on there. So he's 2 attack and 1 defense, so I'm going to add 2 to my attack, so put that on a 2, and 1 on my defense. And then I'm going to look at my next card. Here's that weapon. It costs 1 Valor to put that out there, and I'm going to combine that, so I can go like so. So it's going to give me another 2 attack, which is pretty sweet, and then I can add 1 attack, 1 defense, or a Valor. I'm going to add a defense. It's only got 1 defense so far. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And so, but of course, I did have to spend 1 Valor. So I've got 2 Valor left, and I'm looking at these cards. I can spend this one and just get plus 2 Valor just by spending that scroll. That's pretty nice. And I think I might do that. Since I have 2 Valor left, what I could do is I can do this. So I get plus 2 Valor, and I could go ahead and take Narakasura, put him out there, and he costs 3, but remember I got the plus 2 Valor, so I got 4 left. So I put those 3 out there like so. He's got a 4 attack. This is pretty insanely good round. And then I'm going to spend my last one to put that wolf out there. Combine that, so I get 2 defense from the wolf, and I can add 1 of each. So I'm going to go ahead and add another defense. So and by spending that last Valor to put him out there. So I got these 2 scrolls left. I can deal 4 damage by spending 4, but I'm not going to do that. And your total attack or your total defense is equal to your total Valor spent by your opponent on your previous turn. We're not going to do that either. But we're going to have those 2 cards. Just put them down. So now, if I was attacking this round, and just like if it wasn't the first round, if you're the first player, you can't attack. But let's, for the sake of an argument, let's just say I'm attacking this round. I would take, and you have to attack. The only time you don't attack is the first player in the very first turn of the game is when you don't attack. That's kind of the trick of this game. You have to attack, and the real trick of the game is that you have to make sure that your attack is greater than the defense of the person you're fighting, because if it's less than the defense, you take damage. So that's kind of the cool thing about this game. So if I was attacking, I have an 8 attack, and I attack my opponent, and they had like a 4 defense, I would do 4 damage to them. If somehow they had like an 11 defense to my 8 attack, I would take 3 damage. So I have to try to make sure that I build it up to that point. So that's one of those things that is like imperative, as far as, like when you are building up your deck. Now, so after all is said and done, I do my attack, if I do damage or take damage, either way, and then my opponent does their thing. So they go through their process and they go do their thing, and maybe they attack, and like I said, I have a 5 defense, and maybe they actually made it to a 7 attack. So, to my 5 defense, I would then take my 2, damage, I put that off to the side, and now I would start my next turn. When I begin my next turn, what I will do is I do what's called the reconcile. So I'm going to take all these little Valor tokens off of the cards that I spent them on. And I didn't have to leave them on there. I just happened to do so. But here's the thing. You don't, like in lots of these games, once you put your cards out to attack, your opponents can play cards and do things to make me discard these, but these guys don't have hit points. They don't take damage. And I don't discard them after I've used them. Scrolls I do. I would take this scroll and I put it in my discard, and that's gone. It's done. There are certain abilities that allow you to go through the discard pile and take cards and what have you, but so just you put that off the discard pile. I actually take these cards back into my hand, and now I have these cards. And if I have less than 7 cards, I get to draw up to that. So in this case, I have 6 cards. So I don't really like this card because it depends on what the other person spends for Valor. So I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm down to 5, and I'm going to draw 2 more cards. Let's just see what I get here. So I got a couple of scrolls. Draw 1 card. Draw 1 card for each card you have on the battlefield, and a scroll that says, during this turn you gain as much life as you deal life damage to your opponent. Well, I like that one. So now, if I wanted to, I could discard some of these cards. And because at the beginning of the turn when you reconcile, you can discard whatever you want. You can just go through your cards and get rid of them and do your thing. But you don't have to. So I can just go ahead and reset up the same attack that I had. But the trick is that my opponent may have actually come up with a way to have a good enough defense that my combination isn't going to be able to beat that defense, and going through with that attack and attacking them isn't going to do me any good. It's actually going to hurt me. So maybe that happened, and I would discard some of these cards, and I would just go through the same process again. It is obviously, there's lots of battle card games out there. The mechanism that is the one that really makes this game exciting and interesting for me is the fact that you're always going to attack. And the fact that, yes, you might come up with a really good combo like I had here, but as soon as my opponent comes up with a really good defense that can defeat that, and that is very likely in this game with all the different scrolls and all the different cards and all the different artifacts and what have you, I have to go ahead and get rid of this really cool combo that I come up with, ditch it, and then, and hopefully come up with something even better that's going to be better than that person has. And because I change up my strategy, the defense that my opponent has isn't going to work against that strategy anymore. And so now they have to get rid of their cards and start all over as well. And there's that cool little seesaw and the fun little give and take that makes this game as enjoyable as it is. So let me talk more about that in my conclusion, and I'll do that right now. Alright, cool. That even landed in my hand perfectly. Okay, so there it is, Maha Yodha, the epic card game of Indian mythology. Now, I said it was Hindu before, and I do apologize. Somebody's probably, maybe I'm incorrect as far as that's concerned. I'll fully admit, I don't really know a lot about this type of mythology. But it is really cool that each of these cards have the little background and have the little flavor text and everything like that, and I like it when it kind of teaches me a little bit of something about this different world. Now, I remember reading, I think one of the old, D&D, deities and demigods, splat books or whatever, had a lot of the Indian mythology within it, and I remember even somebody running a campaign using those gods. I'll fully admit, like I said, that I'm not really up to it, and so I apologize if I got that incorrectly, and I apologize if I mispronounced. Well, I undoubtedly mispronounced some of the names that I was reading off there. But all right, so. Towards the end of me showing you how the game was played, I mentioned that the really cool thing about this is the constant attack. And it is. Too many of these games, when I play them, are totally based on this whole strategy that somebody figures out. They go through each of these cards and they figure out how many cards are in of this and how many cards do that and how many cards can combine with this and combine with that, and they come up with this strategy. And there's a lot of people that really enjoy that type of game, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I don't really like that. I'm the guy that I'm more than willing to lose the game and trying something crazy and trying something different just to see what happens, and then find out later whether or not that was a good idea to do in the first place. And that's kind of the way that I play games like this. Now, I can recognize tactics and strategy and things like that and cards that combine well, and this game is a little bit on the easier side as far as that's concerned. It tells you flat out, you need this card with this card, then you can do this, that sort of a thing. But as I said, the really fun part about this game is that you can't just use turn after turn after turn to kind of build up and then oh, here's my big giant attack. This is a thing where you need to be on your toes from the get-go and recognize that you need to have a good, or trying as hard as you can to have a good attack and defense strategy right out of the gate. There is no build-up. You are butting heads from the very beginning. And one, that makes the game very, very challenging and very, very quick, if you will, as far as what you're going to be doing. And two, it makes the games it makes the games happen quickly as well. This isn't a game where it's it takes you, 45 minutes to have one thing done. You're done with this around 20, 25 minutes, and I think that's the perfect time limit for me as far as one of these card battling games. It's not so long that I'm looking at having a stalemate and me and the other person just kind of locked, in our embrace, if you will. But it isn't, one of those things also where, one person can just run away with it, if you will, and because they just understand the cards and understand, everything better than the other person. You can get, as I showed, a thing, when I drew those cards, I had that perfect little, combo that I had going on. But as I said, it doesn't take much for somebody to come up with a way to screw up that combo. It's those cards allow me to copy your attack value. All of a sudden, oh yeah, here I'll use a scroll. I'm copying your attack. So, you got an 8 attack? Now I got an 8 attack. Oh, yeah, you don't really like that much anymore, do you now? Yeah, and so there's stuff like that that make you say, well, that was really cool for that turn, but let's scuttle that and do something else because my opponent is using it against me now. And that's the kind of stuff that I like. I like the surprise factor. I like the fact that, you have to always be trying to stay one step ahead of what your opponent is concocting and creating and using to destroy you. And for that matter, they're doing the exact same thing. And that makes for a very fluid game, makes for a very exciting game, and makes for a very challenging game. And for all those reasons, and plus, like I said, the game looks absolutely amazing. I'm really having a lot of fun playing with this. This is definitely a game that goes in my D-Day dice shoulder bag when I go to work, because me and my buddies, if I only got one buddy enjoying a sandwich with me over lunch hour, this is something we like to play. So there you go. That was Maha Yodha. If you have any questions about it, by all means, ask away. I'll be more than happy to answer those. And until next time, this is me, Undead Viking, thanking you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and also telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right.